let's try this again. So I was upstairs in my office and I was going to do a live stream, but my computer was super slow because apparently it wanted to do updates. And then I came down here because I didn't want to wait, and my laptop wanted to do updates too. It's like, whatever. Stupid technology is not going to keep me from doing a live stream. So I just uploaded on Academia an updated version of a study of the revelation of Jesus Christ, my additional pages for Revelation 8, which include the 7th of 7 points that I identified that really should be understood before even going through Revelation 8, because, well, they just are going to make going through that chapter significantly easier. And in the first video that I did, I went through the first 6 of them, and the 7th one is now included. People can have whatever opinion, obviously, they want of anything. However, I am of the opinion that, sorry, I just have to find where I'm at here. I'm of the opinion that the book of Revelation, when studied sequentially, line by line, verse by verse, produces only one way that you can really come to all of these understandings and make everything make sense. So as I have been doing in this study, is I've tried to make it make sense and keep everything contextually as accurate as I can, including as much scriptural reference as I can to make it easy to follow. The subject matter is incredibly deep, and there's really no way of simplifying it. It is the last book of the Bible for a reason. It is the capstone of the Bible for a reason. It's not intended to be easy, but it is intended to be understandable. So I have done my best to try to make it understandable. That does not mean that everyone's going to agree with me. It's fine. You can do whatever you want. That's up to you. But what I have done in preparation for this chapter is lay out 7 specific bullet points, and I went through them completely. It was subject matter that's already been covered from, I believe, all of the other chapters, or the majority of the other chapters that came before, chapters 1 through 7. It's like, this is what we've covered, and this is bottom lining it for you. Going into Revelation 8, these are the things that we need to repeat. These are the things that we need to have cemented, because when you do, easy peasy to understand Revelation 8. If you don't, I'm not sure how you do that. But clearly people have been able to read Revelation 8 for thousands of years, and maybe they've come to conclusions just fine without my 7 little bullet points. However, these are the bullet points that I identified. And since it is now updated on Academia for you, you have access to this. I am not going to go over the first 6. I'm not even going to go through the 7th. What I am going to do is go through the heavenly incense offering and show you point blank how it is the best proof of a rapture, a pre-trib rapture in the book of Revelation. Now, this is setting aside what we already know from chapter 3, what we already know from chapter 4, what we already know from chapter 5, and if you went through my expositional study of the multitude that no man can number in Revelation 7, setting that aside too. This is hands down, bar none, to my way of thinking, the best scriptural support in the book of Revelation for a pre-trib rapture. And I use my 7 little bullet points to underscore this point. So I'm going to go through them with you now. If you have not been following along, welcome to my study of the revelation of Jesus Christ. I'm in the process of writing a written expositional study of the book, and I'm in chapter 8. That means I've already completed chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and I'm on chapter 8. And the expositional study is free. In the link below on Academia, it is a full text PDF of the ongoing study, which is 343 pages long. It is not intended to be short. It is intended to be thorough and understandable. Regardless of whether you agree or disagree, it is intended to be thorough and understandable so that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt where I am coming up with what I am saying, because I'm throwing a lot at you. It's not intended to be easy, but it is doable because I'm doing it. So these are, up to this point, things that we have already discussed, probably multiple times, because I'm a fan of repetition. We repeat it so that we internalize it. We remember it. The more you repeat things, the more you do them, the more you remember them, the more you make them habits, good, bad, or otherwise. But repetition is necessary. So I will repeat myself as many times as it takes to get the point across. This chapter is called Smoke in the Nose of God. Well, that has everything to do with the incense offering that we're going to talk about tonight. But here are the 7 points that I have identified up to this point that have already been so heavily discussed. It's like I'm bottom lining it. You must accurately understand the layout of the book of Revelation, and specifically as it relates to Daniel's 70th week. And I was asked to create a chart of the layout of the book of Revelation, and I did it in conjunction with Daniel's 70-week prophecy, and I included the full text of the chart on page 2 of this chapter. It's in color, it's big, and I put it together on the request of one of my subscribers, which happened to be a God thing, because then I used it in the book. So yay. So it's there. Number 2, you must understand which specific event is tied to the opening of seal 1 and marks the start of Daniel's 70th week. The measuring for the third physical temple, Ezekiel 40. Number 3, you must understand that the collective opening of the seals marks the beginning of Daniel's 70th week. This is probably the most difficult for people to hang with me on, but Matthew says it and Revelation says it, that all these are the beginning. So that means all of them constitute the beginning. So then your riders leave the starting point, one right after the other on day 1. It's like Olympic Games. Number 4, you must understand what covenant Daniel is referring to in Daniel 9, specifically verse 27, but Daniel 9 on the whole. And it is the Old Covenant Mosaic Law. Verse 5, point 5, you must understand there is no crossover between the Old and New Covenants. Hopefully that's easy. I think that maybe we forget some of those pieces, but that should be easy. Hi, Last Days Christians. Nice to see you. Number 6, you must understand the substitutionary atonement made by Jesus Christ. Hopefully you guys get that. And number 7, you must accurately understand the nature, purpose, and timing of the rapture with regard to the start of Daniel's 70th week. I am not going to go through that. If you guys wish to read about that, it is there for you to read about. It's like, 4 or 5 pages. But I'm going to skip through that. And we're going to go to what I actually wanted to discuss regarding the incense offering that is in Revelation 8. I just have to find it. Please hold. Okay, here we go. So for those of you who are following along or will follow along on the thing that I'm going to read, this is page 334. So after having recapped those bullet points, I said, let us now commence our study of Revelation 8, because that was all in preparation to go through the chapter. Was outlining information, repeating it, making sure that we're all working from the same baseline. Agree or disagree, whatever. You know where we're starting from. And now we're moving forward, all from the same spot. So let's commence our study of Revelation 8. Revelation 8:1. When he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Do you know how many harebrained things I have heard over the course of many years about what people think this silence is? I heard one person think that after the rapture, that with God kicking people down to earth, they've been taken from the earth in the rapture, which assumed that they'd been glorified. And then God just decided to send them back to earth to go through the 70th week. And people were shocked and awe that he did that. And so they couldn't speak because they were dumbfounded. I'm like, that has gotta be the worst. The worst. I don't know. I was dumbfounded when I heard that. Anyway, people have a lot of creative suggestions about what this means. So let's go through this. So based on all we have learned, which day of the 70th week is seal 7 opened on? Well, one of the points I made above is you must understand that the collective opening of the seals marks the beginning of the 70th week. So if it's the beginning and the seal 7 is part of the beginning, then what day are you on? You're at the beginning, day 1. This is why I say there are certain things that really need to be understood. Why are we still on day 1? Yes, friends, we're still on day 1. This means the rapture will have just happened. The third physical temple will be in the process of being measured, and the Mosaic law will have resumed. Enter sacrifices and offerings on the altar of burnt offering. Enter offerings on the incense altar. Why would that matter? Because we will see in short order that the opening of seal 7 is all about the incense altar. Revelation 8, 2 through 6. These are what we're going to go through this evening. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before God. To them were given 7 trumpets. Another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. There was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. The smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. Now notice, I'm going to stop here real quick. Notice it says that he's offering that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints. This is why this chapter provides the best proof of a pre-trib rapture in the book of Revelation, to my way of thinking. All saints, prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar. The smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. The angel took the censer, filled it with the fire of the altar, cast it into the earth. There were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the 7 angels, which had the 7 trumpets, prepared themselves to sound. Indeed, the opening of seal 7 is all about the heavenly incense offering that leads to the judgment of the folks left on earth. Why so? Well, Revelation 7 actually began to answer that question for us. Revelation 5, just before the elders were shown singing their song of redemption. And I made a post about this earlier in my community tab because people kind of freak out when I say, pre-tribbers kind of freak out when I say Revelation 8 provides the best proof of a pre-trib rapture. Because they're like, well, no, it started in Revelation 6 and you're talking about Revelation 8. So shouldn't you have found proof of it before Revelation 6? Well, yeah, we did. In chapter 4, 5, chapter 3, technically it started. Chapters 4 and 5, and then also in 7. But chapter 8 takes us back to something that we were introduced in chapter 5, which is before the start of the 70th week. So we're actually backtracking a little bit, or taking note rather, of something that was already evidenced before the start of the 70th week that now is coming back into play. Anyway, so don't freak out. Just because we're in chapter 8 doesn't mean it still can't be evidence of a pre-trib rapture. Revelation 5:8. When he had taken the book, the 4 beasts, 24 elders, fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. And now in Revelation 8, those golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of all the saints, are going to be offered on the incense altar. No. Okay. Sorry, had to deal with somebody there. I don't want to be distracted when I start going through this. Okay. So Revelation 5 is the introduction to the elders having the golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. Revelation 8 is going to offer the prayers of all the saints upon the heavenly incense altar. So hopefully this is giving us a little clue of why I say Revelation 8 is important. The golden vials contain odors, which are the prayers of the saints. Revelation 8:3 showed those vials being offered atop the heavenly incense altar. The content we are about to discuss underlies the importance of understanding point 5 listed above. You must understand there is no crossover between the Old and New covenants. As we learned in Revelation 4, Jesus is the royal priest, capital R, capital P. Serving him is the royal priesthood. We are simply not the sons of Aaron like the priesthood was in the Old Covenant, nor was Jesus the high priest under the Old Covenant. He is high priest and royal priest of the new covenant, and we are his new covenant royal priesthood. 1 Peter 2:5. Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God by Jesus Christ. Fast forward to verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, which in time past were not a people, but are now a people of God, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Why does this matter? Why am I comparing the old and new covenant priesthoods? For a simple reason. One of the jobs given to the Old Testament priesthood was the offering of incense. In fact, this is what Zacharias, John the Baptist's father, who was a Levite priest, was charged with doing. Luke 1:5. Here was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias of the course of Abia, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. They were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless. And they had no child because that Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years. It came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before God in the order of his course, according to the custom of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord. The whole multitude of the people were praying without at the time of incense. The reason why there's silence in heaven about the space of half an hour is because the people are praying while there's an incense offering going on. It's very simple. And as just about all of the imagery from Revelation takes you to a place in the Old or New Testament, that's no different. And the reference point that is referring to, that's using in Revelation 8, is Luke 1, Zacharias offering incense. And why was there silence? Because the people were praying. The vials full of odors being mentioned in Revelation 8 pertain to the heavenly incense offering. The earthly incense offering under the Old Covenant was a figure of the true in heaven. Thus, the golden censer was placed in the earthly temple. Hebrews 9:1. Then verily the first covenant, or the Old Covenant, had also ordinances of divine service in a worldly sanctuary. For there was a tabernacle made, the first wherein was the candlestick, and the table, and the showbread, which was called the sanctuary. And after the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of all, which had the golden censer. That's the incense altar. And the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the golden pot that had manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tables of the covenant. And over it the cherubims of glory, shadowing the mercy seat, of which we cannot now speak particularly. These things were intended to be observed until Christ came, but not after Christ came. Hebrews 9:9, which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices that could not make him that did the service perfect, as pertaining to the conscience, which stood only in meats and drinks and diverse washings and cardinal ordinances imposed on them until Jesus came, until the time of Reformation. In the Old Testament, the purpose of the incense was to produce a sweet-smelling savor which would rise up to the nostrils of God and stay his hand from judging Israel. Note that when there was no temple or tabernacle, thus no incense offering, it was usually because Israel was being actively judged. Enter New Covenant and the dispensation of the grace of God. In this present dispensation, God does not intervene in the affairs of mankind for the purpose of judging. Why not? Because the sweet-smelling savor, the New Covenant's equivalent to the Old Testament's incense offering, is a perpetual sweet smell rising up to the nostrils of God to stay his hand from judgment. Ephesians 5:1. Be ye therefore followers of God as dear children, and walk in love as Christ also hath loved us, and hath given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling savor. The final sacrifice of Christ for sin produced the New Covenant sweet-smelling savor. So long as we who are in Christ are present on this earth, no one gets judged. Reason being, we too produce a sweet-smelling savor to God. 1 Peter 2:5, ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God by Jesus Christ. That wasn't clear enough. Philippians 4:18. But I have all and abound. I am full, having received of Epaphroditus the things which were sent from you, an odor of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable, well-pleasing to God. This is our job as royal priests on earth. As long as even one of us remains here, there are perpetual sweet odors rising up to God. What would you suppose will happen to that sweet-smelling savor coming from earth once all believers are removed? It goes away too. Simply put, once the bridegroom comes for his bride and takes her to the Father's house in heaven, there will be nothing here left on earth that is pleasing to God. No believers, no sweet smells, no one who has peace with God through Christ. Only children of wrath and of disobedience. This is why it is so important to understand that the Daniel 9:27 covenant is the Mosaic law. The commencement of Daniel's 70th week is predicated upon Israel's return to a legal system that cannot save them, and a covenant that Jesus shed his blood and died to permanently put away. They are returning to a system and a covenant that no longer exists in the eyes of God. Thus, he will judge them for it, as well as all other unbelievers on earth alongside them. Hebrews 10:26. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation which shall devour the adversaries. He that despised Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. Of how much sorer punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy, who hath trodden underfoot the Son of God, and hath counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing, and hath done despite unto the Spirit of grace? For we know him who has said, Vengeance belongeth unto me, I will recompense, saith the Lord, and again the Lord shall judge his people. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. As the incense offering is made in heaven on day 1 of Daniel's 70th week, in conjunction with the opening of seal 7, there will be an incense offering going on in parallel on earth. What happened to priests in the Old Covenant according to the Mosaic law when they offered incense under unlawful circumstances? Leviticus 10:1. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offer strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. They died. Unfortunately for them, the events of Revelation 8 will bring death as well. The angel took the censer, filled it with the fire of the altar, and cast it into the earth. There were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. The 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The events of Revelation 8's seal 7 are indicative of the incense offerings having once again resumed on earth, and God will be sorely displeased. They will not be a sweet-smelling savor to stay his hand from judgment. Rather, they will be a stench in his nostrils. Isaiah 65's smoke in his nose, and they will produce his judgment. Isaiah 65:1. I am sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me unto a nation that was not called by my name. I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face, that sacrificeth in gardens and burneth incense upon altars of brick, which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh and broth of abominable things in their vessels, which say, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense, even recompense in their bosom, your iniquities and the iniquities of your fathers together, saith the Lord, which have burned incense upon my mountains and blasphemed me upon the hills. Therefore will I measure their former work into their bosom. Thus saith the Lord, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one saith, destroy it not, for a blessing is in it, so will I do for my servants' sake, that I may not destroy them all. And I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob, and out of Judah an inheritor of my mountains, and mine elect shall inherit it, and my servants shall dwell there. That's a remnant, the remnant preserved according to the election of grace. The rest of them, judgment. The totality of the righteous will have been removed from the earth. The totality of the unrighteous will have been left behind. The 70th week will have begun. All of the seals will have been opened. The time for the active judgments to commence is nigh. However, before any of the trumpets are sounded, the 144,000 from Revelation 7 must first be sealed. Recall we learned the following about them when studying that chapter. Revelation 7 denotes a process that is set to occur before the 4 winds, i.e. the winds of judgment, commence. That 144,000 are being sealed by the seal of God separates them from the judgment to come and allows them to withstand on earth through it. Additionally, the seal of God on their forehead is outwardly symbolic of their faith in God. Those they are witnessing to will be able to see God's stamp of ownership on them. Presently, anyone who believes in Jesus is internally sealed by the Spirit, forward looking to the day of redemption. That day of redemption will have come and gone by Revelation 4 and 5, as was evidenced by the elders singing a song of redemption. This group of 144,000 will sing their own song of redemption in Revelation 14, for it is noted as being specific to them alone. However, amidst the 70th week, a time characterized by signs and overt intervention of God in the affairs of mankind, the seal of God on their foreheads will act as the outward testimony for those they will be witnessing to. Yes, because they come to Christ under new covenant, they also will receive the indwelling of the Spirit. Even so, that is not something that can be immediately or even easily outwardly evidenced. Amidst a time when the world goes into survival mode, God will create an outward identification of their inward condition to let the world know which people belong to Him. It is His indication that they are trustworthy and credible and that He approves of their message. Thus, the 144,000 servants of God will be sealed in their foreheads. This redirects us to the first of several questions: when will they be sealed? From Revelation 6, we discussed the following. It's important to understand the nature of the seals in comparison to the writing within and on the backside of the scroll. The seals were removals of restraint. On the other hand, the writing within and on the backside, per Ezekiel 2 and 3, consists of lamentations, mourning, and woe. The writing within, or the trumpets, and the writing on the backside, or the vials, are active judgments. As we see the Lamb open each of the seals, we see the allowance of specific conditions and situations to commence, for they reach their appointed time. The beginning, starting point, the gun goes off and they go. The overview of Revelation from chapters 6 through 19, which was written in the time of the Greek, is analogous to Olympic Games, where you have chapter 6 and then chapter 8, verse 1, the opening of the seals, which are your opening ceremonies. And Revelation 19 is Armageddon. It's your closing ceremony. In between, you have your trumpets and vials, your actively judged events. To understand when precisely the 144,000 will be sealed, we need only to look at the other imagery given in Revelation 7. Revelation 7:1. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor the sea, nor on any tree. I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. He cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. As noted, there are 4 angels given to hurt the earth, sea, and trees, and they cannot do so until the servants of God are sealed. When does Revelation's sequence of events tell us that the first harm will come to the earth, sea, and trees? And that's Revelation 8, 7 through 12. It's the first 4 trumpet judgments. The harming of the earth, sea, and trees will come at the hand of the 4 angels to whom are given trumpet 1, trumpet 2, trumpet 3, and trumpet 4. Thus, we identify that the sealing of the 144,000 will come before the sounding of any trumpet judgments. Hurt not these things until we have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads. However, we can and should be even more specific. Revelation 7:2 says, I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. He cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth, sea, and trees. The key word used to precisely pinpoint the time when the 144,000 will be sealed is the word given. The angels who sound the trumpet judgments are given their trumpets to sound in Revelation 8:2. This occurs after the opening of seal 7. Revelation 8:1, when he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Next, and I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. The sealing of the 144,000 does not occur directly after the opening of seal 6. Rather, we can precisely pinpoint their sealing to the space after seal 7 is opened and before trumpet 1 is sounded. For the angels to whom it is given to hurt the earth, sea, and trees by reason of trumpets 1 through 4 are not given those trumpets until after seal 7 is opened. This brings us to the point of Revelation 8, where seal 7 has been opened, the heavenly incense offering has concluded, the angel has cast fire to the earth due to the offering of strange fire before the Lord, and the angels to whom were given the 7 trumpets are now prepared to sound them. Indeed, it is time for the actively judged portion of these Olympic Games to commence. Revelation 8:7, the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and a third part of the trees was burned up, and all the green grass burnt up. So that is where I am at. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. I do believe that the rest of the chapter won't take too long. One of the main points to make is that the trumpet judgments are not instruments. They're the voices of the angels, and we learn that in the last verse of this chapter. Revelation 8:2 says they were given their trumpets to sound, and Revelation 8:6 says they prepared themselves to sound. And then Revelation 8:13 says there is, what does it say? It makes it clear that the trumpets are the voices of the angels, not instruments. I beheld and heard an angel fly through the midst of the heavens, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by the reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. Angels have the voices of trumpets. They are not sounding instruments. They are sounding their own voices, and they were given the voices of judgment to sound. And who are they given the voices of judgment to sound by? Presumably the one to whom all judgment has been committed. It was Jesus. And they were just waiting for their appointed times. So, and then Revelation 9 is all about appointed times, specifically in trumpet 6, all about appointed times. So, I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, if you guys have questions or comments, let me know, but the link has been updated in, on academia to include the new pages. I can't promise when I will have the rest of Revelation 8 done, but I hope to have it done in the near future. So you guys have a good rest of your evening. Take care, and I will see you later.